Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Shameless Plug podcast. I'm Lick My Sock 117, and I'm joined today by my co-host, as always.
TMT Coco. Carry
Hello,
on.
sir. Again, welcome to episode 8. Hope everybody had a wonderful week, and we're back again today. We have a few real Canadian topics to talk about today, and I guess a few international ones, and of course, always the odd nerdy one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Please subscribe too, because we're really hurting on the subscriber end. Please tell your friends if you have a second YouTube account, get on there. And
Even
if you
a
like
third.
the video,
If you don't have a
if you're
second,
watching
now's a
this,
great opportunity to make one. Just saying.
yes, they're free. Make 8 of them. Anyway,
True.
grandma's YouTube. Anyway, just make sure you're subscribed. And please like, if you're watching on YouTube, please like the video, because that helps us a ton with the old YouTube algorithm.
And now that we've begged
How
for a
you
minute
doing?
straight.
That's right. How are you doing, Coco? How was your week?
Oh, my week was, it was a week. It was work, and, actually I took half a day off to get my eyes tested and found out something I knew for many years now, that I'm blind. Horribly
And now you're blind on paper.
Yeah, now if I get pulled over and I don't have glasses, I can actually get in trouble, whereas before, they suspect nothing. So really, it was a detriment. I shouldn't have went. It was just bad.
So like you feel like you didn't get ahead, even though it's supposed to be a good thing being able to see and
Well, I mean, it's always nice to know that you were right, I suppose. Because, like, it's probably been 8, maybe 10 years now where I've been like, yeah, there's no way my vision, like, the ideal vision is not this. I must have worse vision than people for distance, specifically distance. And when I went and got, I think it was my G2, they make you do the eye exam thing, but it's like a really crappy one. You just look in like the shell of a VR headset, and they just put like numbers on the screen that keep getting smaller. And I did that, full well expecting them to tell me I'm blind, and I did it. And they're like, yeah, you're good. I'm like, what? I can't read road signs. Are you sure? And they're like, you're good. Just go.
don't ask any questions. Just move along.
Next.
Move along.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they were drafting pilots for World War II. No, he can see. Throw him in a plane.
Yeah.
He's fine.
I'm able-bodied. Just give me a license. But yeah.
Yeah, now that I think about it, it was back in high school, like you were even talking about being blind. Like we were on the bus, and I was like, man, did you see the last name on that mailbox? And you're like, no.
There was a mailbox? Hold on. Yeah. And like I'm pretty sure it's gotten worse the past like 3 or 4 years now that I've been working and just like sitting staring at a laptop all the time as opposed to sitting and staring at a TV. But yeah, I went in there and I didn't know how much of a process this was. My only experience with eye tests was Deck
Can
the
you
Halls.
see this big E?
No, it was the movie Deck the Halls right at the start because one of the main characters is an optometrist, so it just starts off with the better one, better two scene, and that's all I knew about eye tests. And I go into this place, and they got a big poster on the wall, and it's like, what to expect during your eye test, and there were like 20 steps. I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna die here.
I didn't do the prereq for this. Like,
Yeah. And like I went in there, so before you even get to see the optometrist, the other people do all the work for him, as most doctors' offices do. Doctors are just there for show, basically, and to sign something in a way that no one can read it. And yeah, they put me in these 3 machines. The first one, she's like, okay, yeah, just put your chin on this thing that, this geriatric old lady was just using that I didn't clean. It's like, okay, good. Put my chin on the thing, and I'm looking through this screen, and I see like a nice farmhouse off in the distance. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then it just starts making a horrible grinding noise, and everything goes blurry. I'm like, oh god, did they just kill my eyes? Is this like a setup? They ruined my eyes, and then
me being blind since like childbirth and doing these tests, I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's so funny hearing you go through this process for the first time. Because normal people go to the eye doctor, right? I mean, well, I say normal people who are still on their parents' plans, but
yeah, I mean, like I don't go to the eye doctor, the dentist. Like my experience is limited. So I go through that one. She's like,
Well, you
okay.
get to the point where you're too scared to go because you're going to find out something you didn't want to know.
Well, I went from being scared as a child to the invincible feeling where it's like I don't need it to the scared with my wallet face. And
Don't
um
we live in Canada?
yeah, well, I mean, that means nothing anymore really, but we'll get into that later. But yeah, I go through that one, and then the worst experience that I don't even understand. She's like, okay, so this machine's just gonna puff air in your eye. And I'm like, well, that doesn't seem like it's beneficial at all. And like, it's just this tiny little nozzle thing. Again, horrible grinding noises, and like this thing, it looks like a computer from the 90s. Like it's got that kind of off-white cream color to it, so you know it's just a dinosaur. And I just have to see her adjusting it, and it just keeps getting closer and closer to my eye. I'm like, it's gonna hit it. Stop! And eventually, it gets right to my eye and just blasts it with like 100 psi of air. It felt like
100
immediately,
PSI.
my eyes are watering. I'm just crying. I can feel the tears coming down. She goes to the other eye, and she goes and she hits it, makes good contact, just like the first one. And then she's like, "Oh, you blinked." I'm like, "Huh? No." We're done
Like,
here.
yeah, I'm fighting 3 million years of evolution of mammals blinking when something comes near their eye. Like, what do you want from me?
Yeah, and then she has to line it up again. I'm trying not to blink so bad, but I just got tears. Like, man.
Did they warn you? Did she warn you she was going to blast you?
Well, yeah, she's like, yeah, there'll just be little puffs of air, and then you just hear the compressor start up, and it's like, oh god. All right. Eventually, I got through that.
And like that's it being streamlined. You know what I mean? Like it's not like you're the first one to be at this. Like
Yeah,
this
no,
is just the process they've been
yeah,
doing.
they pumped through it like that somehow. Anyways, I went through a couple other machines, and the doctor or the optometrist takes me into his office, sets me up on the better one, better two, and he's like, "So do you have any other issues with your eyes?" I'm like, "Well, they seem to water a whole lot because at that, I looked like I was crying, so I didn't want him to think I was just in tears because I was scared of better one, better two." And that was a mistake because now he set me up with eye drops, a
Number one?
mask, a regimen of like dry eye stuff. And it's like, okay, well, whatever. I'll take it. It was like $20. But yeah, I went through that whole process. Turns out my vision was very bad. I went into the actual like eyeglasses store, the Pro Vision that was beside it, and I handed them the prescription. And they're like, "Oh, do you have your old pair of glasses?" I'm like, "These are my first pair." And they're like, "What?" So I guess it was real bad because everyone had kind of a shocked look whenever they were given that.
So like, is that the equivalent of like somebody our age getting braces? You know what I mean? Like usually you've already bit the proverbial bullet by now.
Well,
Is it like the same kind of thing, like getting glasses? Because like usually you either already have glasses by the time you're mid-20s, or you don't get glasses until you like
you're old.
midlife crisis. You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was just how strong it was. Well, the optometrist literally said, if I give you the exact right prescription that you need, you will have headaches every time you wear your glasses. So I'm going to drop it down a little bit so you can actually
they
function.
said that.
Yeah. He's like, it's going to give you headaches. It's going to hurt your eyes. And so, okay, well, this sounds great. How much do I charge? How much do I have to pay for that? And my God, I didn't realize how much glasses were, but thankfully I have insurance that would not auto deposit, so I still had to pay for it anyways. But yeah, so
Well, that's normal practice. Like usually pay up front and then get like rebate.
yeah, so on April 5th, I will be certified, able to see things. Because like at this point, someone will, like I'll be talking to someone and they'll be like, "Hey, did you see me at like the Walmart a week ago?" I was like, "No, where were you?" And they're like, "Man, I waved to you. I was right in front of you." I was like, "Oh, yeah, no." Like,
Plot twist. I was at Walmart.
yeah, true.
I thought I was at
When did
Lowe's.
Oh, yeah.
No wonder why they didn't have sheets of plywood. Jeez, I thought they were just out.
Yeah, those with a freezer section would be a bit whack. But yeah, so April 5th, I'll be able to see again. I'll be a new man.
And that's just for the distance, right? Like, you know, next to your massive like 55, like you're fine. Like
Yeah, up close I can see great. Like you can give me the finest little print you got, and I'll probably be able to make it out for about 2 more years, and I'll probably
Yeah,
need
right on.
bifocals. But yeah, that was my
No,
experience
that's
this week. It was great. Blasted in
no,
the
yeah, for
eyes and had to
sure.
pay for it.
My week was kind of hectic there. I just got off work from being on a ship for a month there the week before last,
Yep.
or I guess last week. I don't know anymore. Anyway, I got called back, and now there's a ship in the harbor in town here that's just totally not sea ready, just totally torn apart top to bottom. But they need a security person at night, and they're like, well, we'll just.
Pick a
They figure
navigation
Sock's
officer.
not doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just throw Sock on there. What else is he doing? And I said, yeah, fair enough. What else am I doing? So that's when I've been at working midnight, like 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. But I usually get home at 7 a.m., so it's really not too bad. But yeah, that's what I've been at, and I'll be at that until April 6th. So hopefully we can keep these episodes up. Other than that, it's been a pretty quiet week, except for the news of Canadian politics, which I just want to go over real quick. I know nobody cares, but I feel like as a fellow Canadian, it's something worthy to talk
We
about.
have to appeal
And
to the old souls in the audience. Talk about
that's
politics
right,
for a while.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't really. I should read into it more. Like I was just a. I didn't even bother clicking on the article. I just seen multiple headlines of it, and my understanding is that two of our Democratic parties are merging together in order to keep our current prime minister in power until like 2025. Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah, so effectively, realistically, Canada has 3 major parties, of which 2 normally win, conservative or liberal. And yeah, the NDP basically is tag teaming with the liberals to just beat the conservatives every chance they get. And I think the agreement was basically that if they did that, Trudeau would let more NDP like propositions pass and stuff like that. So they'll basically be working together, which more or less completely invalidates the voting process, because the only
Yeah,
way,
because like
like
you keep going. Yeah,
it, it's always pretty much been that the liberals and conservatives have been like 49-51 in terms of percentage of voting, like back and forth. It's always been close, same as the states. And now with this, you have in like traditionally it's you have a majority, you win. Now it's if you are the conservatives, you need like a 60% or more majority, which is very rare. And if you're the liberals, you're getting a bonus 10 to 20% off the NDP. So kind of make
it's whack.
it
Like they're
doesn't
pulling
seem
an Emperor Palpatine.
more or less. Yeah. I did think of the line, so this is how democracy dies, with thunderous applause when I heard about it the first time. And like
Like that's crazy. Like, and like I don't even like. So I thought there might have been an election coming up this fall. Obviously, I don't think there is,
no,
especially not now.
because we had kind of that rushed one. Was it last
Last year,
year? Yeah, because
yeah.
he basically wanted to try and get more seats, and I think he ended up losing a couple, but it really didn't change anything. It just cost taxpayers a ton of money, and yeah, because of that, it like reset the cycle of the next election. I'm pretty sure. So, and like growing up, you understand the whole like going back to the Star Wars thing, Emperor Palpatine's whole thing, and you watch it and you're like, yeah, that's pretty crazy. There's no way that would happen in real life. And then growing up, it's like, wait, this is kind of happening in real life. Obviously,
That
not
is
to the
well.
extent he's not completely
Well, the
abolishing
Empire
the
is
Senate and
space
stuff.
Nazis, right? Like the Empire was just space Nazis. Like that's what it was.
Well, it was based on the Roman Empire, kind of how it went from republic to empire originally. Um,
Hmm.
with obviously, yeah, a little sprinkle of World War II baddies in there, because everything seems to do that nowadays. And it was a real story too. What happened to Rome, how it became the Holy Roman Empire, and stuff like that. So it has happened in real life, and now it's kind of happening again, except Canada is severely less relevant than the Roman Empire was back then, so no one really cares.
No, that's right. And like the worst part is that whether you agree or disagree, there's nothing that you and I could do about it. There's nothing. Like they're just like, let's say they go through it and merge with that party. make it almost impossible for the conservatives to like make the exchange of power happen. Like unless something drastic changes, like it's nothing's gonna change. Like they're just gonna stay in power and like not to
Oh,
like influence the audience, but like I think that's a bad thing if things keep going. The bad thing if like everything keeps
I
going the
mean,
way it's going.
I don't think you have to worry about influencing the audience because one, no one's going to listen to us, but also two, most people on the internet go on there to get their opinions made for them. Nowadays, it seems they just read a headline or hear their favorite streamer say something, and that becomes their opinion too. Which I hope no one
Well, that's what I'm
listening to
saying.
this
You have a
does.
pretty big following.
Oh yeah, sure. But I hate that whole thing that people just get their opinions and mindsets from other people. It's so stupid. Like one of the biggest streamers out there is a political streamer, Hassan. All he does is talk about politics.
I've never heard of them.
He he's openly said that the entire purpose of his streams, which are almost all just chatting streams, is just to influence people to agree with his political standing, basically. And like most of his audience is like late teens, pretty much, and like early 20s, so still malleable people. And yeah, all he does is try and get people to like have his opinion more or less, which I think is just really stupid and scummy. Like I don't want to. If I ever got that big, I wouldn't want it to be an echo chamber. I wouldn't want to just have people repeat what I say, basically. But yeah, we have no real power to do anything as like just citizens, and I'm really surprised there isn't a law to stop basically monopolizing political parties. And I mean, there won't be now because they're not going to put a law against themselves.
No, that's
Like
right.
it's like
Next thing you know, there'll be a law. There can only be one party,
well, yeah, we've seen
and
that
it's
before too.
1933 all over
But
again. Yeah, you know what I
yeah,
mean.
like I almost feel like there needs to be a council above. We need a Jedi council. No, like there should be some council that doesn't decide like, do we go with the left wing, the center, the right wing approach on blah blah blah. Just one to like an anti-corruption type thing that just ensures no one's like overstaying their welcome or like abusing powers or anything like that. Like just some kind of check. But I have no idea how you would do that without people just arguing relentlessly.
Unfortunately, yeah, like unfortunately, even if you had an overseeing body for the overseers, it would still be run by humans, and you know what I mean. And people are
Yeah.
just so bias and agenda driven, right? So like you'd almost have to have it run by AI. And that's
Yeah,
just a
there's
whole like today it runs your country, tomorrow it tries to go back in time and kill Sarah Connor, you know what I mean?
yeah. We've been warned about this too. But
On
yeah.
the global front though, like while we're just on the tail end of our political discussion, we you know, things are still horrible in Ukraine, but at least it hasn't escalated. Like I woke like when I was finishing my shift this morning, I was just talking with a few of the fellows coming on for the day work, and one of them said, "Yeah, well, woke up today, you know, like no nukes went off. Apparently, that's a good
True.
day." So, like all
Yeah.
things considered, it's not so bad. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. I read something that iodine tablets are selling out like crazy. It's the new toilet paper. Can't wait to see
wait,
what
what?
next year's trend is. Because iodine tablets are like, for people that don't know it's supposed to help with like radiation sickness and stuff like that. So if you're
Yeah,
exposed to radiation, iodine tablets are like the go-to, and you always like anyone that has a bunker just underground, just those people that have just been waiting for this day their entire lives. They're probably stocked right up for many years. But yeah, apparently they've been selling out quite a bit anywhere they're
really,
available.
I
I've
haven't
never
seen
actually
that.
seen them at anywhere,
I mean,
but
anybody who has played Fallout, like they know what to do.
yeah, or anyone that lived through the Cold War.
Yeah, that's right. I remember talking to my dad. My dad, you know, like our father's like, you know, my dad's like in his 60s now, right? And he was like, we're just talking about it, and he's like, yeah, like it's absolutely unreal that how basically the Cold War never really stopped. It almost like became irrelevant because of other things going on, and now it's kind of resurfaced, right? It's because like when he was going to school, they had like air raid siren drills like in the 60s.
Yeah, where they
You know
told
what I
you
mean?
to, yeah, just go into your desk, you'll be fine.
Yeah,
From a
that's
young,
right. Yeah, and like the teacher had to keep their composure, even though they were either a
blatantly lying.
draft dodger or a Vietnam vet. You know what I mean? Like, like, like he was saying one of his high school teachers was from the States, and he was a draft dodger,
Sweet.
and they came up to Canada to teach in school. Like, isn't that wild? Like, anyway, so like he was just blown away. He was like, "What have we learned? Like, what was the best thing that was like that's changed from then till now?" He was like, "I don't really care for cell phones and the government spying on me. Microwaves, that was pretty cool."
True.
Like,
Toasters.
you know what I mean? Yeah, going from like having to like heat up a toaster or the oven to heat up your leftovers to just stick it in the microwave and eat radiation. That's pretty good. That's a good trade-off.
Yeah, absolute win. Yeah, like I I remember thinking about it before, just like this whole time period where so it was a streamer playing a game and they were talking about a character that was born in the 1800s and he was like, how stupid do you have to be born in the 1800s? Just wait 100 years and your life would be so much better. Which, I mean, that in in a sentence is very dumb, but I was thinking about it, like, oh yeah, the 1800s. So either die in World War One, World War Two, Korea, Vietnam, or potentially the Cold War. Like
Well, on top of that too, then you had like the Spanish flu and all that other crap
all
that
the
went on,
plagues
right?
and stuff, yeah. Or the
Yeah,
famine if you were in Europe.
and the depression. You have to
And
make it through that.
man, it's been a
You have to.
great couple 100 years.
Oh yeah, I mean 1800s. Like I'm sure you don't get the latest Tamagotchi, on your backpack going to school. But like at the same time, I'd rather get the shit kicked out of me with my Tamagotchi than have to go to school and like be scared of the black shit or something like that. Or you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I guess kids now like they're worried about getting COVID, right? Like I guess like is that the equivalent? Like are they gonna like overplay that where it's
Uh,
like
I
played
mean,
off like the Spanish flu?
I've seen so many people being like young people saying like how they've had to go through so much in their life already and stuff in like the past 20 years. I'm like, what? Do you want to go back to the 1900s where there isn't like a
Yeah, that's
5 year
right.
period where anything's okay? Like, yes, things have severely deteriorated since Harambe passed, but they had like a 20 Harambe event at the start of the 1900s. So,
It's so funny you mentioned that. I was just talking to somebody and they were like, we were talking about almost this exact same thing, and we were saying, like they were like, Sock, in your lifespan, you're only 24. Like, what are like going through like the night like the 40s, like you know what I'm saying? Like you had like World War One, World War Two, like all these conflicts within like 20 years of each other, right?
yeah.
Or like some major event. They're like, what are the major events that happened in your life? And I was like, well, 9/11, like that was pretty significant, obviously. And I was trying to think of anything else like really past that, and I actually said Harambe. Like I remember life pre Harambe.
I don't, okay, like, I don't believe in astrology or anything like that. None of that, like horoscopes, palm readings, no multiverse theories or anything, but I do believe that the death of Harambe had a severely negative impact on every person's life, whether they even knew about it or not. And I don't understand the ripple effect that happened, but something
I don't
happened.
know.
Like,
Something definitely. Do you not feel that though? I don't even remember what year that was. Was that like 2014?
yeah.
I have to look. I'm gonna look it up right now,
Well,
like just
either
while we're doing
14
this
or
here.
15. I can't remember exactly. It was the 14-15 period because I remember like how good things were, and then he died, and then
It was
everything
actually 2016. Isn't
was
that
it actually?
crazy? Like,
Oh no, yeah, that
yeah, it
makes
was that
sense.
late.
Yeah, that makes sense because yeah, that would have been my third year of university. And everything that's when the weight gain started, and it's yeah, like if there's ever a situation like that again, just leave the animal. Like we can make more children. There are significantly
Like
more
to the.
children than there are Harambes.
That's right. Like if everybody who's listening to this podcast really think about your life and think about the like 2016, like May 28th, 2016, like where were you at in your life? And has post Harambe life been better or worse? Like please throw something in the comment section because I'm genuinely curious. Like I'm not saying it's necessarily been bad for me, but I feel like that was a nexus event that has shaken our timeline. You know what I'm saying? Like some Loki stuff going on here.
Yeah, like that. Like if it was a graph, you would be able to pinpoint exactly. Like if you went by global happiness, You could pinpoint exactly where it happened, and you would
No,
know
it's
what
true.
that
Like
was.
if this was Back to the Future Part 2, like Doc Brown's on the chalkboard, this line represents time. And it was at this moment in time, draws an X, May 28th, 2016, that the timeline skewed into this tangent, creating an alternate 2022. And in this universe, Ukraine's getting dumpstered, there's another plague, and the economy is going to hell. And memes have taken over the internet, like in life.
I feel like even
Not even
memes have
just
gone
internet.
downhill though. Like my Instagram feed in 2016 was great. I had so I cracked up laughing so hard in one of my classes. I can't even remember what it was, but I just burst out laughing while the professor was talking and I had to leave. That's how good memes used to be. And now I see them and they're just overused garbage. And I hate it.
Yeah, memes are all
I want my
garbage.
memes back. Make
Like
memes
just
great
and
again.
like you just throw text on a picture and it's, you know what I mean? Like people just assume that's a meme. Like I think there's more to it than that.
It's just the
Like
golden
some of the
age
memes
has
you send
passed.
me are just weird.
that,
They're
that's
just
usually why I
strange.
said.
But because like our like what do you call it? Like our we're so desensitized to memes, like they have to go to like such a weird
Yeah, they have to.
area
It
of
just
humor to like have an effect anymore. You know what I
it's
mean?
the level of just obscurity or strangeness that makes you just like gut reaction laugh. That's the only way we can really get good memes anymore. Like some you could say something funny and it probably wouldn't make us laugh for the most part.
I'm just so desensitized. It has
Eh,
to be such weird.
just
And not even like, you know how there used to be like dry humor and then every other flavor of humor? Like now there's like the other humor, dry humor, and now like this weird, sick, in between meme humor.
yeah, or like the hyper referential stuff where it references something so obscure that if you know it, it's great because it's something you like hadn't thought of in a long time or something. But if you don't get it, it's just crickets. It doesn't make sense. It's like trying to read braille with your eyes. Wait, you can do that, can't you? Crap.
That's no, well, I mean, I guess
Well,
that's
you
not the
can if they
purpose
like
though.
actually write it out, but I guess if it's just like the bumps, it's hard to. You know what I mean? Or just reading regular writing if you're blind. I guess would have been a better analogy, but anyways.
I realize that I haven't come across Braille, like the writing Braille, like the bumps, in a very long time. Is that a dying thing? Is that still
I
around?
don't
Or
think
because of
blind
COVID,
people
like
are
you can't
dying.
touch? Wait, what?
Yeah, blindness is just dying out.
Yeah, yeah. Is it like are we winning the
The
battle
war
against blind?
against blindness. I mean, in my experience, it's still a pretty hefty fight, but
Like you were just on the front lines getting that high appointment. Like,
yeah, I dodged the draft long enough. I had to go for it, but
I'm trying to think of realistically the last time that I felt Braille.
my university had braille for all the like room numbers and stuff for most of the
Were there a lot of
buildings.
blind people? Like, what percentage of blind people were at your university? Like less than 1%.
I'd see like someone with a walking stick, like just a full-on like actually blind person with a walking stick, maybe once a month on campus. So they were there.
I've never seen that. I've never seen that in my life.
I don't know, like
There's, they're a myth. Like, there's no, there's no
if I was
blind
blind,
people.
I wouldn't be doing that. Like I'd be
What would you be doing?
I'd be sitting in my chair, eating a bag of chips that was placed in front of me, and just probably
So
listening
how's
to the
that different
Shameless
from
Plug
now?
podcast. Well, it isn't. Now that I think about it, I mean, I was blind. Now I'm getting my glasses, so I'm moving back.
So
Now,
what you're saying is we can fight like the us blind people.
yes,
I say us because I wear contacts, but
don't let blindness win. We got
I
to
don't
start a
like.
campaign. We'll be at the
Is
forefront of
blindness a
this.
spectrum?
Is it a disease? Can we like raise money for blind? It'd be like the rabies awareness fun run for the cure from The Office. This has already been cured. We already have a solution for this. No, what we gotta do is a serious thing. We'll just do that for
But the real
blindness.
question is, would you rather date the deaf or the blind?
I mean, dating the blind would be significantly easier in my situation, but because they'll be like, "What do you look like?" I'll be like, "Oh, I'm a Chad." They'll be like, "What's that?" And I'd be like, "Just trust me. Just feel my stomach. That's what muscle feels like." And they'll be like, "That feels like a balloon." I'll be like, "That's muscle, baby."
Have you ever like held a pear in your hand that was a little too dated?
No,
That's
I
that's
could,
me.
cause
That's my face.
all right. like
Uh,
like that would
okay, would you rather be deaf or blind?
deaf.
Really?
You can experience so much more by seeing things, and
I think so too.
most people I just don't want to hear anyways. So it's a win-win. Oh, there's a phone
That's
meeting? Yeah,
fair.
can't make it. Sorry.
Well,
Like,
you wouldn't even know what was happening.
yeah, like they would just omit me. It's just I could just be like, oh yeah, just send an email. And it's like, all right. Like almost everything I
I
do now, I could still do if I was deaf.
Yeah.
Not having music would suck, but even that music you can like. I don't know how common it is, but I can't remember if it was a show or something where people were making music that was essentially just like super low notes, so you would just feel it instead, like the same way you can feel the rumble from a subwoofer.
Right. No, I've heard of this. Yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like if you're deaf, you can work around pretty much everything, but if you're blind, that's like a completely different lifestyle that I don't want. I mean, obviously, I don't want either, but I think that would be
It'd be
worse.
crazy though. Like, imagine being born with it. Like, I can't imagine. Like, so you know how when you think to yourself in English in your own voice. Like, I always wondered. Like, side note, I always wondered if like if the Germans thought to like their own thoughts in their head in German, or would it just be like what we hear? You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
does that make any
it
sense? Anyway,
it's still German, but they understand it. Like
that's right.
it's like having a conversation
but
to yourself, so it's still in whatever language
I
you're.
so you think like French people think in French?
Yes. How would they?
Really?
How would
Okay.
they think in English? Like,
I just think that we think to ourselves and we just like we don't know what language it is, but it's just the universal of us thinking to ourselves. Like I don't think there's any.
but I can consciously think of words in my head. Like I can think of what I'm going to say before I say it. Right.
Well, that's just I know what you're saying, and I'd like to see some science.
Yeah. Can I get a CAT scan on this episode of the podcast? I'd like to see my brain activity. Find the words.
But like I wonder, like if you were born deaf, like right from the get go, just imagine like how, like what is in
Sad your
your
life
like
would be.
what are your thoughts? Well, yeah, it would be horrible. But like, what would your own thoughts even like consist of? Like you don't know what English sounds like. You know what I mean? Like, how do you even think to yourself
The weird thing for
when you're
me
like,
is like kind of going on that. There are some that like I don't know what percentage. I don't want to sound like I know what I'm talking about when I really don't, but I've heard some deaf people talk in English and they sound like it sounds like bad English and they don't have accents because like accents you pick up just by hearing people as you grow up basically. And they don't have accents, but I don't know how they even figure out how to say anything if you don't hear someone say it first. Like
yeah, it's
if you
amazing how
look at the
you
letter A,
overcome
how
that.
how do you know how to pronounce that? Like try looking at a Russian letter. What is it? Cyrillic? Just look at one of their
Yeah.
letters. I would have no idea how to say any of those, and I don't know how you translate that really either.
What was it the best line in like Transformers 3 when like they go into the Russian bar and the German assistant dude Dutch he's
That
trying to
was the
like
goal.
yeah, it's like Baristikov and like we speak English and he's like Dutch you suck and he's like it's a Cyrillic alphabet it's
Yeah,
like all the
he's just
buttons you
trying to
never
look.
push on a
He's
calculator.
trying to look through the little thing.
Yeah. Yeah, language is wild and like I said like if you were born deaf and like the fact that they can speak and actually produce like the sounds close to like if somebody who just like or you or I learned English growing up, right?
Yeah.
Like the idea of invention and the idea of overcoming is absolutely unreal to me. And that's like we can dive into that as much as we want. Like it's just it blows me away that like there's a problem and somebody has come up with a solution for it. You know what I'm saying? Like just like even
Well,
from the start of humans and you know.
sometimes we're really good at that, and other times we're just really bad at it. Like our just
Yeah.
the rant I had where just Why don't pants fit better? Like, simple issue. Someone could work on it. Hasn't happened. Or obviously more like large scale things like curing diseases and stuff. Some of them we figure out quick. Some of them we still haven't figured it out. Like sometimes we seem really smart, and then other times we're just idiots.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the pants is a good good analogy because again, I don't think the
We
demand
need
is there
better pants.
for the sitting pants. Like,
You know, I'm gonna make merch. Sitting pants. I'm going to find somebody that will make my pants, and then I'm going to sell them. It'll take
well,
off.
maybe when the streaming careers and the Shameless Plug podcast take off, we can look at new
We'll
adventures there. And
campaign for
speaking
it.
of like upgrading our platforms, we're talking about getting some Stream Decks, and I've already ordered one for my end, and I'm really looking forward to using it because I don't know if anybody knows what a Stream Deck is. It's basically just a little box, and you can choose the size that you get. There's one with 6 buttons, 15 buttons, or 32 buttons, and it's basically just a second keyboard of hotkeys, and they make it so you can make your own little icons and all the keys to make it look fancy. But essentially, it's just 15 more keys in your keyboard. But there's like smart technology in a program that like all come with it, where you can integrate like one touch of a button to open like several programs, like whether you're streaming or even just like working from home. There's so many different elements. Like the more, of course, now that I'm getting one, I'm looking more and more into it of what you can do with it. But I'm really looking forward to getting this piece of hardware and really upgrading. Like even with this Shameless Plug podcast, like I could have a hotkey that'll play right into our recording software for an intro music or a sound in the podcast. Like just looking to upgrade our quality of life kind of situation, you know?
Yeah, they're wild, but at the same time, it could totally have just been an app. But I like there's a way to do it, and that's what's been kind of holding me back. I know there's a way that you can make an app to do everything that this is doing because that's all it is basically. And they have like a legitimate phone app that you can get to instead, but it's a subscription based thing. That's how they get you. Like it's not a super complicated thing, but because of greed, it's expensive. Like these things aren't super cheap. They're more than I thought like way back when I first started. But they are so handy. And like me only having one screen and everything else having to be on my unresponsive tablet, I think it would definitely help. Like the majority of stuff I do. Because even if I want to switch scenes, it's not like I can just go to my second monitor that I don't have. I have to just tab out of whatever I'm playing, switch, and go back and everything else. And like even if you get one like the 15 button one, you can have a button that opens a folder to more buttons. So you can basically have unlimited buttons. It's just a matter of how much like navigating you want to do. And one I was watching a YouTube streamer a couple days ago, and he mentioned them, or someone asked him about it. And he's like, "Yeah, I have two. I have the 15 and the 32." And I thought about that. I'm like, "Good God, I don't want to ever get that far." But
Wait, what is that? 47 buttons?
yeah, that's
What do you need
insane.
all the buttons
It's
for?
like a whole nother keyboard that's just hotkeys. I mean, he has a lot of like I think what he does with that is because depending on the genre of what he plays, he has like different transitions, different like BRB screens, stuff like that. I think he just has all of them saved on there. Like at that point, you don't have to kind of organize what you want to use. You just throw everything on there and you're good. But
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to like just learning it. Like I said, there's other ways you can go about doing it, but I just paid the capital
yeah,
to just get the device, set it up. It's a USB, you plug it in, you set up your hotkeys. There's thousands of YouTube tutorials about it. And from there, I'd like to set up transition scenes. Like you can even like make a hotkey button where like you hit it and it does like an instant replay of like the last 30 seconds that plays for your stream while you keep going, and you can commentate like over it. Like it adds such a production value for something that we're just doing at home in our spare time and have no like I have no background in it.
yeah. It's such a semi addicting rabbit hole of expenses to stream. like the more you look into streaming, you just find more stuff. Like, oh, I need a better mic. I need what you don't need any of this, but like you want it. You want a better mic. You want the boom. You want the stream deck. You want the second monitor. You want this and that and everything else. And it always makes me wonder like, are you a good streamer because you're a good like how much does the equipment play into making a good stream? Like Do you really need all of it? No, probably not. But I can't see like a super good stream that doesn't have the majority of it. And it just like it's such a
I think for
weird
me,
thing.
like it's like I have fun while I stream. Like that's like I'm actually enjoying like the broadcast side of it, and like if you get a few people in chat talking with you, having fun, playing games with you, and if you have like a little bit of the production equipment to go along with that, I think it heightens my experience. Like for the Stream Deck example, like that's gonna like it's gonna be satisfying for me to just hit a button and have like multiple commands play out.
Yeah, I know I'm gonna
Like
spend
I
like
think,
hours programming those buttons. Like just big braining it,
oh,
like,
they're
oh,
gonna
I could have
be,
this do this and this do that and everything else.
oh, it's gonna be awesome. Like you can even set up one button that like when you just sit down before you even stream, you hit one button and it sets up everything you need to stream for you. All you need to do is hit start stream. Like it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, like it I definitely think well you don't really need all of them and just having them probably isn't enough. I think it makes it more enjoyable in terms of like feeling you're a producer, like you're working a TV show or something like that. It's like a simulator inside of you just playing games, but it's not the
Yeah,
game.
that's right. Like I love the idea of like some people I know for like my stream itself like it's boring like for some people that aren't into like the shooter games or vice versa not into the scary games they're just looking at me on the corner of the screen and just like the gameplay where like if we're in the lobby like switch the scene like change it up visually and make it more visually exciting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I just feel like especially with like all the short form content coming out like TikTok, YouTube Shorts, like etc. People like to see variety and like what they're seeing on the screen.
Yeah.
And I see you even indulge into the shorts now.
I try to, but man, I can't get them to actually pick up his shorts no matter what I try. I think I might just do what you do and just go with like make it on TikTok or whatever and then just use that. But
Yeah, because TikTok has like its own like editing for that, like specifically for like phones
yeah.
to make it into that format. So it's so easy to do it on TikTok, then save it, then upload it to other platforms.
Yeah, cuz like when I edit those videos, I make them in the what is it?
The
9
studio.
9:16 ratio or whatever a phone is. I do it there and save it, but I think YouTube still just picks it up as like a regular video for
Hmm.
some reason. So I got to mess with that, but yeah, like there's so many different things with streaming that you can spend all your time on it and still probably not be satisfied for like a month plus until you really like settle into it, I guess. Like there's still so many things that I want to do with my stream and stuff I want to get set up and everything, but I ain't got time.
No, that's right.
Like,
And like hopefully, with me working these nights, like I'm hoping to like kind of catch up on some sleep and like once I get these new, like I got a like I've had a Yeti mic this whole time. I haven't been using it though because I don't want it in front of me while I'm like playing a game on the desk. So like I invested in the boom arm, so that's coming along with the Stream Deck. Um, and I got a streamer capture card too for the like the Xbox or the PlayStation or the Nintendo Switch that
good
we
God,
got.
how much money did you spend? Those things
I,
aren't
I think
cheap
it
either. They're
was
much more than I thought they were.
that was $100 for the capture card. And I like at first I was hesitant, but then I was thinking I was like, okay, well it's not just for the Xbox. Like you could use it for your phone, for the PlayStation, for the Nintendo. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't. It's not just a one shop unit.
Yeah, it's not specific to like a lot of stuff is, and I hate it. Even like I was looking at wheels, like racing wheels, and you can either get ones that work with Xbox and PC or PC and PlayStation. Like,
Yeah,
why can't I just have a
mostly
universal one?
PlayStation
Yeah,
and PC. I was finding,
yeah, like
and
it's
those are a lot of money too. I couldn't get over that. Like even so, I got the humble the humble bumble
no.
bundle. There's today's tongue twister. The humble bundle of the racing games. I actually did pick that
So
up
you
because it
got
was
that
only
one
like
too.
$16 Canadian.
Yeah, and it was like
Yeah,
$400 worth of games and everything else. It's crazy.
yeah, for sure. I did get it. Yeah, and I have like the coupon for the wheel. It's like 20% off. And I looked at the wheels and like the wheel that I would want is the 299 one, right? The $300 one
Yeah,
because it has the clutch for like manual shifting, and it doesn't even come with the stick shift.
yeah, you have to buy that separate for like $80 or something,
Yeah,
79.
so when I seen that, I was like, no, I'm not gonna. like it's niche, right? Like it'd be really cool to have like a really nice racing wheel because I do enjoy racing games. Like don't get me wrong, and like even like the farming sim, like I would use a wheel for that. Anything I could use a wheel for, I would if I had the wheel.
Yeah.
But it's so niche, and I don't play enough of them that I'm not going to drop that kind of capital.
Yeah. Yeah, like
Like even sorry, like even like a joystick. Like I was looking at a joystick because I really want to like really get good at helicopters for squad.
yeah.
But at the same time, a joystick is like you can probably get one for $80 off Amazon, like a decent one. But then I was looking at like certain games and stuff, like for squad, like with the helicopters. It seems like with the joysticks, like the pitch still doesn't like zero on itself.
Yeah.
Like you'd still have to like rotate it back yourself to zero. Like I just want to like release it and it's like auto level out, if that made sense.
Yeah, the kind of annoying thing is different games support different ones too. Like this is again why I like consoles so much more. Everything is so uniform for the most part, whereas PC is just like the Wild West. It's like, oh well, this works for this and not this and stuff. Even like back to the racing wheels, I was looking at those and like some of the features that they have. Certain games support them, certain games don't. Stuff like that. So you really have to like super research whatever you're getting. And I'd love to have all of it
Yeah.
too. Like I have a joystick, but it's a fairly old one, but I had it already, so it worked out. And like I'd like to get the racing wheel. I've already got the VR. Like anything that adds to the immersion, I'd love to get. And yeah, racing wheels I've been studying up on, and they get mad expensive real quick. It's like
Yeah.
it's painful.
Well, I'd like to experience the feedback. Like, you know, some wheels are just like limp and almost have no resistance to them.
Yeah,
Like, apparently, all these wheels, like, they'll center themselves back. You know what I mean?
yeah, like if you're playing on one and it feels like a Fisher Price like push car, or like those wheels that they have at the playgrounds that are attached to nothing.
Yeah.
That doesn't really, you don't benefit from that really. But yeah,
Yeah,
some
that's
of
right.
them are super like realistic in the features that they have and stuff. I was looking at the Logitech 293, I think is like their highest offering one. It's like $500. But it's got like the pullback, like if you hit something the wheel will pull itself back, it'll self center. If you pause a game, you can spin the wheel however much, but when you go to unpause it, it actually waits a second, moves the wheel back to where it was, and then you keep going, which is really cool. And it also has rumble in it, so you feel the vibration of the road and stuff. Like there's so many little things that they add to it, and then you have like, do you want the gear driven, which are usually the cheaper? Do you want the belt driven, or do you want the direct drives, which are like thousands of dollars? Like
Oh, yeah, the sky's the limit
you can
for
always get something
accessories like
better,
that.
basically.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's all the time I have for recording there today. But thank you to everybody who's made it this far into our podcast. Uh, this is episode 8 of the Shameless Plug podcast. I'm Lick My Sock 117. You can find me at twitch.tv/lickmysock117 gaming. And I was once again graciously joined by our co-host.
It's me, twitch.tv/DMTCoco. If you ever want to hear that name said a billion times, you can head over to my Twitch. It's all I say on stream, pretty much.
Yeah, for sure. They don't call us the Shameless Plug podcast for nothing. Anyway, thank you for joining us today. And we hope you guys and girls have a wonderful week. And we'll catch you guys in the next one.
See ya.